Hey guys! So in Spider-Man No Way Home, Peter asks Dr. Stephen Strange to cast some universe-affecting magic in order to help get him and his friends into college. Which seems drastic, but maybe that's just what you have to do to get into MIT these days. And with the multiverse-shattering ramifications of such a powerful spell taking place, we have to remember to focus on the only thing that's really important: Peter's love life. Here we go. So we're going to try to ignore the multiverse effects of the event that just took place on screen, and instead focus back on Peter and what's going on with him. So at the end of Spider-Man No Way Home, the not Sorcerer Supreme Stephen Strange casts a giant spell in order to get everyone to forget who Peter Parker is.
You were the Sorcerer Supreme.
No, he got it on a technicality because I blipped for 5 years.
Oh.
And besides ending his relationships with Nick Fury, the Avengers, everyone he met at the Battle of Earth, this also terminates his relationship with his then-girlfriend, Michelle Jones Watson. And despite telling her that after the memory wipe he will find her and tell her who he is, he does not, and arbitrarily decides that she would be better off without Spider-Man in her life. Which, I mean, leads to really weird questions, because people still remember who Spider-Man is. Does Michelle think that she's dating Spider-Man but doesn't know who Spider-Man is? Anyways, that's not the point. The real question is, does that mean that MJ is out for good? Because the truth is, it's really not looking that good for her. At the end of Spider-Man No Way Home, Flash, MJ, and Ned all confirmed that they have been accepted into MIT. Meaning that for all of Peter's friends, they're off to Boston while he's still stuck in New York City. And because of the spell, Peter Parker isn't in school anymore. As you can see from the end of the movie, where he moves into a studio apartment in Manhattan, which I mean is still probably ridiculously expensive, right? It's in Manhattan. Peter's studying for the GED, which means his odds of getting into MIT are less than likely. And I'm willing to forgive a lot of multiversal magic, but if you're trying to tell me that Peter's going to be able to get into MIT with the GED, I don't believe you. But this, of course, shouldn't come as too big of a surprise. Because MIT is all the way over in Boston, and Peter Parker, aka Spider-Man, is more notoriously known as New York City's famous web slinger. His powers have much better scope downtown in a major city, so a school in downtown New York City like NYU would be perfect for him. And Empire State University, Peter Parker's comic book alma mater, happens to be based off of NYU. So with Peter off at NYU with all his friends off at MIT, this really opens the door for Peter 1 to make a whole new friend circle. And amidst that friends group comes the possibility for a brand new love interest. And what goes further to confirm this is that every Spider-Man movie so far has taken place in a different year of his school career. Spider-Man Homecoming took place during his sophomore year, Spider-Man Far From Home took place in the summer after his junior year, and Spider-Man No Way Home takes place in November of his senior year at high school. So following that trend, Spider-Man 4 should take place during Peter Parker's freshman year at college. And a typical character that's often associated with Peter Parker's first year at college could be Gwen Stacy. Gwen Stacy had a huge role as Spider-Man's main love interest in the Amazing Spider-Man series, and was even a main character back in Sam Raimi's Spider-Man. But with Spider-Man No Way Home telling us that certain characters that have existed in other Spider-Verses don't necessarily exist in the MCU,
Oscorp doesn't exist.
I think it's time to look at another possible suspect. And another hint to where Spider-Man 4 is going to go is given to us in the end credit scene, where at the end of the movie, a little piece of the Venom symbiote stays in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And while the symbiote is typically associated with the character of Venom, it's also tied in directly to the Dark Spider-Man arc. An arc that was glossed over pretty quickly in Spider-Man 3, and definitely needed much more time to shine. And with Peter Parker going into a much darker year in Spider-Man 4, it seems that this might be a perfect time to explore that area. Peter's new character is completely alone. His aunt and his uncle and his parents are all dead. Tony Stark, his mentor, is also dead, and he has just lost all of his friends. There has never been more of a time when Peter Parker was this susceptible to falling into a less morally upstanding plotline. And who could possibly help guide him into a slightly morally questionable plotline? I have my money on Felicia Hardy. Felicia Hardy hasn't really been depicted in movies before. She has a small role in The Amazing Spider-Man 2, but with that being probably the least successful Spider-Man movie of the last 20 years, not a lot of people have really seen it or given that credit. Not to mention that at no point in Spider-Man 2 do they even mention what her last name is. And this leaves a lot of this character to be new territory for the movies. Besides being a poor influence on Peter Parker and a love interest, Felicia Hardy is also known by the moniker of Black Cat. A Catwoman-like character who basically just runs around robbing things and ruining Peter's life. And while MJ holding onto the Black Dahlia necklace seems to indicate that she still has some connection to Peter, it really does feel like whatever relationship they have is going to be put on the back burner, at least for the upcoming movies. So guys, with MJ forgetting who Peter is, Felicia Hardy is the one getting my bet on who's going to appear in Spider-Man 4. Paving the way for another Dark Spider-Man arc, and really freeing up Ned and MJ to go on other pursuits. Because while they're off at MIT, it doesn't mean they're necessarily out of the MCU. And with the show Ironheart coming out about Riri Williams, a student who goes to MIT, it's possible that we're going to see them before we even see Peter again. But anyways guys, that's just what I'm thinking. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.